Plaintiff Sheila Bradley says that while dating the defendant, both of them were alcoholics, and the defendant was verbally abusive. Sheila claims she checked herself into rehab and is now sober, but is no longer dating the defendant, and she's suing him today for a loan. Defendant Kenny Harris says when he started dating Sheila, she had to stay at the jailhouse every weekend due to a DUI conviction. Kenny insists the money from Sheila was a gift, and he's countersuing for emotional distress.
Start with you.
Okay, Judge Mathis, I met Mr. Harris the first part of October, I believe. I met him in a bar.
What year?
Sir?
What year?
2010.
Okay.
I had left my home because my family had showed up to do an intervention on me for alcohol. And they all got in my house and started partying, so I got up and left and went to the neighborhood bar down the street.
Your family came in
to do an intervention on my alcohol.
And then they started drinking alcohol.
Then they started drinking and partying. So I went in the bedroom, got my shoes, got my pocketbook. I'd been cutting grass, cleaning house all day, yes, sir.
So where did you go?
I went up to the neighborhood bar.
Why couldn't you just stay there?
Because I was tired of them. I was kind of upset with them because they're coming to do an intervention on me and then they're gonna sit there and drink. They didn't even know I'd left the house.
All right, so go ahead.
So I go down to the bar. I'm sitting at the end of the bar by myself when Mr. Harris approaches me. We sat there and talked, and I told him about what was going on at my house, about the intervention, that I did have an alcohol problem, and that I was an alcoholic.
What did he say?
He just pretty much listened, you know.
He didn't say
I
a word?
don't recall the whole conversation we had.
He didn't say, well, I don't think you should be here drinking then.
No, he didn't say that. Matter of fact, at the end of the night, he asked me if I wanted to ride home, and I said, no, not really, because they're probably all still there. And he said, well, would you like to go home with me? And I said, sure.
All right, and that's when you all started dating?
That's when we started dating.
How long did you all date? When did you break up?
I left there, he kicked me out in March.
All right, of this year?
2012.
So what was it like dating?
At first it was okay. He took me to bars 3 or 4 nights a week because he was on a pool league. And
when you drink each night, obviously?
I did drink.
Was he drinking as well?
Oh, yes, sir. He drank every night.
Would you consider both of you alcoholics during that time?
Yes, sir.
All right.
He was also on cocaine. And yes, sir, I did participate in doing cocaine with him.
Okay.
But I couldn't go to the bar and not drink. At first, I was drinking, but I was really trying to get serious about my sobriety. And so I quit going to the bar with him. But his, quote, way of helping me was he would bring home a bottle after work every day and give me 2 or 3 shots and lock the bottle up. And then he would go play pool and leave me at home and thinking that 2 or 3 shots was going to satisfy an alcoholic. And I lived about 3 blocks. His house was about 3 blocks from the liquor store. So I would go to the liquor store and get me a bottle.
All right. And why did you all break up in March of 2012? What was that about?
Well, things really went downhill starting the end of November. Which there was verbal abuse out of him through the whole thing. He called me a drunk.
Did you verbally abuse him as well?
Yeah, because I would fuss at him. He was Mr. Casanova, and he was proud that all the bartenders knew what he drank. Okay. He didn't have to order his drink.
Have you overcome your drinking problem?
Yes, sir. I put myself in rehab in 2014. I paid for 30 days of rehab. And I am now sober, sir.
Good.
Well, things really went downhill starting the end of November, which there was verbal abuse out of him through the whole thing. He called me a drunk.
Plaintiff Sheila Bradley is suing her ex-boyfriend, who she claims was verbally abusive.
All right, you give me some background, sir.
Well, when I met this woman here, I mean, it should have been a red flag right off the bat. Because after I knew her a couple of weeks, she asked me to drop her off at the nearest jailhouse and pick her up the next day. And then I found out she had to spend weekends for something.
Okay.
And then she finally told me that it was because of DUI. So she would go and spend the weekends.
Did you meet her at a bar?
I'm sorry?
Did you all meet at a bar?
Yes, we met at a bar.
All right. And 2 weeks later is when you had to drop her off for her probation.
Right, after we were getting to know each other a little better, and then she said, "Hey, I need you to drop me off at, the local jail because I gotta spend the weekend picking
Honor,
up
he already
trash
knew
or
that.
whatever."
What's that?
He already knew that.
Okay,
I told
go
him at the
ahead.
bar.
I didn't
So
remember
she had
that.
to pick up trash as a condition of her probation, as you referred to it as.
Well, it was
pick up
like,
trash.
instead of spending-
Community service is what they referred to it.
Correct. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been around anybody who had done that, so
Who
I
you
wasn't.
kidding? Come on, go ahead.
I'm serious.
Been drinking too. Did you drink a lot?
No, I'm not a drinker.
That's a lie.
Not a drinker.
That's a plain right
So
out
did you
lie.
try and stop her from her alcoholic
Oh,
ways?
yes.
What did you, by leaving 3 shots there instead of the whole bottle?
Because she would be like this. She would.
Why wouldn't you
play
take
on
her to
my
the
feelings.
hospital instead?
I did. I took her to rehab 3 times.
Is that true, ma'am? Ma'am, is that true?
Sir,
Is that true or
I turned
not?
myself into rehab.
Pardon?
I turned myself into rehab.
All right,
I
so
went
the
to
answer is
hospital.
no, that didn't happen?
He didn't turn me in. I turned
So the
myself
answer
in.
is no.
Oh,
I
no,
asked,
sir.
did he
Okay,
do
I'm
it 3
sorry.
times and you won't give me a straight
I'm
answer?
sorry. No, sir.
All right.
He gave me a ride.
I took her to rehab
Just once or 3 times?
3 times. I
Damn.
convinced her to go to rehab.
All right. She says you gave her a ride. Good enough. Just tell me why you're suing him today.
In the first part of November,
Of what year?
2011, I received mail, and it said to all residents at this address. I opened the letter up, and it stated that we had 30 days to move out of the house because the house was being foreclosed on. Mr. Harris came home that day, and I asked him about it, and I had received a settlement from my mesothelioma case. And he knew this. He knew that, I already had a mesothelioma case through our relationship. And, I told him it was a shame for him to lose his house after 20-some years of owning a home. And, I asked him, I said, well, do you want me to loan you the $10,000 to keep your house? And he asked me how was he going to be able to pay it back? And I said, well, I can't leave you strapped and you lose your house anyway. I said, how about when you get your taxes, you give me $500 and then $100 a month after that. And every year when you get your taxes.
So you gave him something, 10,000. Is that what you gave him?
I gave him $10,000 cash.
When was he to
money,
repay
sir.
you?
He was to start in April when he got his taxes
He hasn't
back.
paid you. Has he paid
He hasn't
you
paid
any?
me a dime.
All right, and you say it was cash?
Yes, sir.
That's unusual, sir. You tell me about the 10,000 in cash.
Well, she did give me $7,000, but she
cash?
gave me She gave it to me in money orders. She was getting these settlement checks. When I first met her, she got maybe a $80,000 check. Then she would get like a $40,000 check. That the settlement she was having with these asbestos companies. Well, one day she called me up and she said, hey, I need you to see if you can get off work. Take me to the bank. I need to cash a check. I got a check for $125,000. So I asked my boss if he'd let me take off for an hour. So I went to pick her up, take her to the bank, and she had messed up with her bank, so they wouldn't even deal with her, really. They told her, well, you want to open up a new account? We will let you deposit this check, and in 10 days, you can draw money off of it. She's like, oh, no, screw that. I don't, she was like half loaded in the bank, so they were like, really not wanting to deal with her to begin with. Well, she said, let's go to a check cashing place, like a title loan place. They'll take any kind of check. So we went to one. And they said, sure, we'll cash this check for you. We charge you $5,000 interest.
Sir, did you pay? That's why you didn't pay, because of the interest?
No,
what
sir.
are you saying?
No, she gave me 10 money orders for taking her to the place to get her check cash.
10 money orders equaling what, sir?
$700 each, $7,000.
All right, and that was, you weren't to repay it?
No.
So this was for you giving her a ride.
Exactly.
She gave you $7,000. Did you verbally abuse him as well?
Yeah, because I would fuss at him. He was Mr. Casanova, and he was proud that all the bartenders knew what he drank. He didn't have to order his drink.
Plaintiff Sheila Bradley is suing her ex-boyfriend, who she claims was verbally abusive.
Your counterclaim for $5,000 is for what?
Your Honor, she has made my life like pure hell. I mean, I've been living in my home for over 20-something years. At one time, she runs out my back door, naked, no clothes on, runs to a neighbor behind me, knocks on their door, tells them I locked her out of the house, I'm beating on her and stuff like that. She runs to another neighbor's house at another time, goes in their back door and sits down on their couch. And they weren't even in their living room. She just sits down on their couch
That caused
and they walk
them
in.
distress. That had nothing to do with you.
All right.
What else, sir? What
Your
has she
Honor-
done to you?
That is stress to me.
Got it.
Because
All
I
right.
have
Your
neighbors
claim is
listen-
dismissed. I believe that you all were both alcoholics.
No, sir.
I'm going to dismiss your claim for emotional distress. I believe you all both were addicted to alcohol and engaged in all type of dysfunctional behavior. I'll grant you $5,000. Have a good day. That's my judgment.
You're a liar. You know that?
You are.
No, you're a liar.
You remember
You're a
you gave me
liar.
the $7,000.
You're the liar.
I told you that.
You know I gave you $10,000
No,
to
you
save
did
your
not.
house, and you let me lose
No.
mine. I called you and asked you
I
for
told
help.
you I was missing the whole day of work.
And you abused
said, here,
me. I got
said,
a
here,
report
take
right
these money
here.
orders. That ought to cover
You
you,
never
for a
see
day
where
of
you
work.
hit me in the head with a wine bottle, Kenny.
You hit your own self with a wine bottle.